Therapy today, man. Whew. I unlocked some things. So I talked to my therapist. I was like, I need help because I keep going back and forth between sadness and anger. And I talked about the anger, and I've talked about anger before, the anger that she is in this position of leadership, that she has this influence over people, that she's likely, you know, taking advantage of other folks like she did me. And the therapist, she was saying, you know, what do I want? What do I want to get out of this? And she has asked me that numerous times, and I felt like I was getting, sometimes I would give the same answer, and then other times I would give something else. Like before, originally, this journey was just about telling my story, just about releasing the secret. Then, as I learned more things, it became about her hoping she loses her church, which still do, but not as voraciously as I did before. I don't know what she was saying and how we got to it, but she was saying that there was something that I was missing. And as she was talking, like, what I realized was, and I think she might have even said the word like goodbye, and I was tearing up, and it's like, I didn't get a goodbye, not like a good final goodbye. And I felt my heart space open up, and I just broke down. And just need to take a few minutes, because that was a big part of my anger. The lack of closure, and I've worked a lot about dealing with a lack of closure, because I've had numerous relationships end out of nowhere. And I know I say that, it makes it sound like, well, what's your fucking problem with people just ending relationships with you all the time? But bro, if I were to tell you all of them, you were like, damn, really? Like, you really? Promise you, I am not, I'm not out here just chasing folks away. But in this situation, yeah, even, and our last conversation even ended with, you know, saying, I want to have a talk, and her saying the last thing she said was, we will, and we never did. And I often think about, like, what if we had had that final conversation? Where would I be now? Would I be feeling like I was exploited and manipulated? Or would I feel like it was a relationship that ran its course? Because again, originally when I was telling my story, it was about realizing that I was indeed exploited, manipulated, abused by this person in power. And there's still this duality which I think I've talked about before, living in these two areas of counterbalance. But like when I learned that more people knew, and I realized that her daughter knew and the bishop knew, and it's like all these things that pointed to the reality of you were an even bigger tool than you realize. But then on the flip side, it's like, but what if there was actually love there? And I was saying this to my therapist, I was like, I can't dwell in that space, because if I do, then it legitimizes everything that she did. And what she did was absolutely wrong. And then again, when you look at all the other details that, you know, she was doing these things, telling my mom that she was going to see me at campus, knowing good and well what she was coming to see me for. When we went on our beach trip where we had our first intimate occasion, like, it wasn't a secret that we went on this trip. The church, people knew that we was going on a trip. My mama knew we was going on this trip. You know, it was just, you know, me and First Lady, we were going to go spend the weekend together. So... But yeah, the breakthrough was I didn't get a final goodbye, which she said was a pattern that I had to look at, like having, like, when I've talked about relationships ending, not getting the goodbye. So I have to look at that in another relationship as well. And just like the lack of closure. And so my thing now is, what does my goodbye look like? Sorry for the dog. They out here just having fun. What does goodbye look like for me? And one thing she said that she wants me to do is the practice where you do role playing, where you're talking to the person, like, what do you want to say? And I'm like, does that really work? And because I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like I really get into it. She's like, yeah, people say that, and then raw emotions come out. And I don't even know what I would want to say, because I feel like I said everything I want to say. Is more so I had questions. I had questions, so many, like I mean, the first one, the big one, of course. What was this for you? Did you love me? Did you care about me in any form or fashion? And then, like, how could you do this? And then how could you just walk away? Because the way the relationship ended was just kind of, she said she couldn't handle it. And even with the conversation might have been had. I certainly can't remember. Like, what was the it? Was the it being with me? Was the it being queer? Was the it, like, dealing with lying to people about being with me? Like, what was the it you couldn't handle? Was it all of the above? Was it something totally different? Like, but when it ended, I was still in love with her. And I didn't get, it's that thing where, you don't know that your last time is going to be your last time. So I never got a chance to get her actually out of my system. I didn't get a goodbye. And she's been dwelling within me this entire time. Like, no matter who I've been with, there's always still the part of me that loves a person that I loved before. So every person I've ever loved that deeply is still a part of me, at least if we haven't had that final goodbye. So I've had 4 significant relationships, and I believe that I've gotten the closure I'm going to get for 3 of them. So this is my last relationship that I need to get closure in some kind of way. And it's not closure from that person, but I need to decide what goodbye looks like for me. So yeah, that's what we'll be working on. We even talked about, like, part of the thing was that I wanted to, like, reveal her identity and her church and all this stuff, because I want, these things to happen. And so she's like, we know how the black church is. You reveal her identity, and then what? You're not going to, like, if you don't get what you want, then what? And so what she was trying to show me was that, like, if it wasn't, if I kept focusing on punishment, there would always be something else to harp on. And that's very true. If I am more and more focused on her getting her comeuppance for not even what she did to me personally, because that's the other thing. I'm less mad about what she did to me personally, and I'm more mad that she wasn't held accountable and is not being held accountable and could be doing that to somebody else. Again, I'll say, if she was just going to her 9 to 5 and just sitting her little ass down somewhere, then it wouldn't be a problem. That's like, oh no, the baby done got hurt. Oh, I think he got hit with the ball. He been going inside. Oh, I guess they're not. Oh. So one child went inside crying. The other child I thought was also going to go inside. No, they went and closed the door and went back to playing basketball. Unbothered. Our other child came out and they fine. Yep, everything's cool. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. I got distracted by the black children just having a joyful time in the Lord. But not focusing on something happening to her. She gave me the example of want to say Jamal Bryant over New Birth Church. I don't know who I don't know who people are anymore. But just the example that there's the guy that took over after Eddie Long when he died, and that's a prime example right there. People be knowing that church leaders are out here fucking congregants, fucking children, and just don't care. The black church is toxic. Ooh, just just there are good churches out there. I know of some. There's good churches out there. Anyway, just gave me other things to think about. Well, I was saying, like, if I were to get to the point where, you know, I reveal the identity, it has to be because it's part of my healing, part of my closure, not because I'm seeking punishment. And I can get with that. I needed this, I guess, redirection, this call out, so I could stop ruminating, because that's where I was ruminating so much. Like, I could be doing work, I could be doing anything, I'd be hanging out, and in the back of my mind is her and her church, and I'm like, you know what, number one, people gonna do what they gonna do. There'll be people who know I'm pretty certain that there are a few of her members from my old church that are a part of her church that, you know, they didn't leave, they haven't left, despite knowing this story. And actually, I think it's because they probably already knew. It's not a surprise to them. They're like, oh man, people know now, but they already knew. Cause dang, they crying again. Oh baby. And the other one is still just playing ball. I think they all right. I think they more upset than actually hurt. So anyway, let me get off this. I'm about to say, let me get off this phone. Oh man, I just wanted to share the therapy session. And oh, and I did mention EMDR because a lot of people have mentioned that on my Facebook post. So she said that she's experienced it. She actually thinks it would be good for me in time, and knows some people that she could refer me to. So I'll be sharing that. I had never heard of EMDR. I can't even tell you what it stands for right now, although she did tell me it stood for eye movement something something. I didn't even know that much. So for folks who responded when I put out a call for like trying to deal with the anger and the sadness, and y'all was like, hey, EMDR, thank you for that. I will let you know how that experience goes once I have it. Please, as always, share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you. Oh, and the baby stopped crying. They back to playing ball again. They fine. They're fine. Don't even worry about it. The kids are fine.